Today's message comes to you from a bit of a deeper place. And this message is a lot to do with anger and where some of it originates from for many of you. And the origins of your anger in adulthood usually lie in somewhere in childhood, somewhere down the line. And this is important to first understand that although your current situation in life, whatever relationship it is, work, other part of your life, whatever the situation is there, most likely it started somewhere early and quite early and something you can't even remember. And big part of this is in childhood. So many of you who are listening to these messages and my channel messages, you most likely in your childhood were put into this type of let's say, a more of a difficult situation. Now, the situation can differ, or it can differentiate and be a little bit different here and there for many of you. But the gist of it is you were put into an unjust or unfair situation. So I'll give you an example. So, for example, if your parents split up, or maybe your one of the parents died, or wasn't there, or was absent in some way, and let's say I'll give you both examples, but let's say if you were you were a boy and you were left with a single mother, then most likely you were put, if the mother wasn't a really conscious person, you were put into the male role quite early. Now, depending on the age, maybe you had to do tasks that you weren't prepared for in that age, and you had to also be emotionally, this is very big and crucial, where some of that anger is most likely coming from, is you were emotionally put into an unjust and unfair position where you had to mature so quickly, you had to become a man. No, also this can happen with women and girls, is the woman leaves, or the mother dies, and very often there's a single parent again, and the girl has to step up or take the responsibility of the woman too early, too soon, and also the emotional responsibility. And why it's so triggering, and it gets so much anger, is because it's unfair. And why it's unfair is you were not ready. You didn't have the necessary skills to actually navigate those waters. And most likely, nobody came to your aid as well. So when that happens for a young child, that again, you start to think of stories and think of ideas about yourself that, you know, are not true. Or sometimes, you get into that victimhood, which is completely understandable. You get into the victimhood mentality of, it's not fair that this happened to me. And one thing you really need to understand about unfairness is whenever there's a feeling of unfairness, it usually there's a lot of anger that's either underneath, and sometimes it comes out also. But unfairness and anger go hand in hand. So if there's something unjust that was done, you're probably going to be angry. So, what can you do about these things if you're experiencing these things? First and foremost, you need to go back a little bit to understand why you felt this way or started feeling this way. Again, if something happened in your childhood like that, like some of the examples that I said already, you will start to feel, like this, almost like coming back to yourself. type feeling. If you go and understand, okay, so this is the moment. This is where I experienced a lot of unfairness in my past. And this is one of the reasons, you start to notice these ideas and thoughts of, okay, this shouldn't happen to me. It's unfair. This has happened to me. I have nobody to talk to. I have nobody to go to. If this starts happening, then you're in that space and memories might start coming back. When that is happening, the first thing is to always understand, and then the second step is always to process this sensation and feeling that you had, and then later on the understanding can come of why it happened, why it was necessary, what were the skills, because most likely because you were thrown into that unfair situation, you had to climb, you had to crawl, you had to get yourself out of that situation. What are the skills you learn that are still potent today? um, and then the full circle of healing is complete again. Hopefully this makes sense to you guys, and hopefully this message finds you well and helps you understand things. I'll be here soon.